Hello and welcome in to another exciting episode of The Scene. I'm your host, Bubba Starts, and with me today is father, singer, songwriter, and storyteller, Devon Sants.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Devon, I appreciate you being on. So we had you featured on our pilot episode of The Scene. I'm a big fan of your music.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Sounded really good. I liked your first pilot you put out.
Thank you. So for listeners that aren't too familiar with you, why don't you give us a little bit about who is Devon Sants?
Well, like you said, I consider myself somewhat of a storyteller. I originally went to school for writing and teaching English. It's always been kind of dear to me as an outlet to, I guess, just let what my experiences and what I've been through out through paper or through song. I used to write a lot of poetry and different stories, and that kind of turned into songs. And when I tell a song, I like to embrace emotion of the experience that I went through and just tell the kind of the full story and kind of put you there, make you feel something, if I can, if that makes any sort of sense. I'm also a father. As you know, my son, he's almost 8 months old. And so that's definitely been life-changing. And it's something that is really involved with all aspects of my life. So, in everything.
New fatherhood. Why don't you expound on that a little bit, and being a musician and trying to survive in the music business as well?
Well, I obviously have cut back on gigs a little bit, but I am okay with that. I have been having so much fun with Beckett, my son, and he just started crawling, and so he's getting into everything, and
It's so
he's just
exciting
cutie,
this time. You get to knock out so many firsts in that first couple months of the new baby, right? And for being a dad for the first time, which I know you are, it's all your first as well.
Yeah. And, he's been to the studio at Cottonwood Studio with Tom Freer, where I record all my music, really, that I've put out. He's been there during recording sessions and stuff, and he's done pretty good, just kind of hanging out, smiling, and while we're doing edits or throwing down a couple of tracks. And that's been kind of cool. The other day, we went to Haggerty's. I was just picking up strings, and I wanted to say hi to Chris Graves since he just started working there. And he was just enamored with all the different guitars and all the colors and all the lights they have in that room. He was just in awe looking around. So he definitely seems to like music and just be kind of taken towards the things I'm interested in, which is great. So I could take him to stuff. He's only been to a few gigs. Kind of hard to take a baby to a show if it's in a bar.
Yeah.
But I've had a few gigs that are all age events, and he's been to those.
That is unless your grandpa is bass Bob Reiling and you can get into the number 10 as a near newborn. So I actually got to meet little baby Beckett back in October when we shared a writer's round, you, I, and Clayton Ryan. What a treat it was to see your little family there, and your father-in-law and I have some history, right? We've been playing music in the same town for, him a lot longer than me, but how fun to see you guys and to see the baby at the show and to watch him grow up now as we watch you grow, Devon. I'm a huge fan of your music. You were actually on the first show, Devon, that I played when I got out of prison in 2018. That was the first show that I had done in over 2 years, right, as a free man. My first show back in the United States as a free man in almost 4 or 5 years. And here comes Devon and doing your thing. And I would just remember being blown away because your singing voice and the places that you can take your sound in your music is so much different than the person that I'm talking to right now. And I love that about you because you're able to really explore some deep and dark places, and your love of writing really shines through in that, because I don't necessarily have that in my songwriting arsenal. Talked about being a storyteller and being a writer at heart. And I think that allows you to go to some really special places and sometimes some very dark, emotional places. Can you expound on, what the darkness kind of brings out in your music and what your music brings out of the darkness.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've definitely been through a lot of darker places and darker times in my life than other people have. And I don't mind being honest and open about those experiences when I sing a song. And when I sing a song, I try to embody what I went through, whatever the song's about. And so you kind of see it on my face if it's angry or if it's happy or if it's sad. I try to make you feel what I felt when I wrote those words. For a lot of my life, I was just kind of in a darker place, at least mentally. I went through a lot of different trauma and dealt with suicide and dealt with abuse on stuff when I was a kid. And so I don't mind being open and honest about a lot of my experiences when it comes to my songwriting. And then, of course, my performances, I try to embody that same emotion that was went through during that experience. So if I wrote a song, say, about being rejected and kind of toyed with having my emotions toyed with, there's a lot of anger that came from that time of my life. And so in like that specific song, Rejection, you can definitely see that during the performance. And I know your favorite song, I'm Not a Hero, that all started because a friend of mine asked me a question. He said, why do you hold on to all this anger, all this darkness and stuff that you've been through? And immediately, because I thought I knew it all and I was in my 20s, I'm like, well, it makes me stronger. Well, that wasn't true at all. But I did come up with a good reason. And I told him, hey, man, I think the real reason is because it allows me to go to this place that a lot of people can't come back from, and do my best to try to bring others with me, to bring them back from a darker place. And he was like, oh, that's great. I actually don't care. I only asked you that question for yourself. And I was like, oh, that got me Miyagi. Okay. All right. So it was just kind of a lesson for myself. And he already knew the answer before he asked me. And it just took me a while to kind of figure that out. And during that time of figuring it out is when I wrote I'm Not a Hero. Um, yeah. So that was just kind of a fun little story.
Yeah, and I love your stories. Obviously, I'm a big follower of everything that you do. I love your stage presence. I think that's probably my favorite part about you is not just listening, because I don't think it's the full effect. You definitely have to see Devon Sants perform to truly appreciate what's being delivered because you give that performance in the studio. I've seen your behind the scenes footage, right? In Cottonwood Studio, where I've also done some recording. So I know that that's just how you deliver the song. It's just how you are. That is Devon Sants, right? So it really is important that people get out and see you live, and yeah, they're gonna have some chances to do that this summer. I know we're both featured on a huge show in Rapid City that just got announced this week. How excited are you for Four Winds Rapid City?
It's going to be an interesting event. I'm on the second day on Saturday, and man, the pairing is just very interesting. There's anything from rap music to myself, punk rock to folky stuff with Humbletown. So there's just a very interesting lineup for this show. Both days are going to be featuring a lot of fantastic artists. I actually just finished putting it on Bands in Town, so everybody has that information out there when they search for it, just trying to make it accessible on all avenues. But I'm really stoked for it, man. It's going to be good to see a lot of my friends. Being a musician, that when you have other musician friends, you see them in passing, like, oh, I'm this way. And they're like, cool, I'm playing a show over here. Bye. That's about the whole interaction you get.
And that's it. A big situation that breeds that is the Wild West Songwriters Festival, where we were both featured on a songwriters round ourselves. But a good friend of both of ours, Clayton Ryan, was on that show with us, and he since has gone. I don't know if it's back to Minneapolis, but he's moved on to the Minneapolis area, and we were hoping to have him play with you there on April 27th, and I think he got an opportunity for a little bit bigger show, and that's one of two reasons that we let a fellow artist bail on a show, right? A better paying gig, or as my friend Dave Holly likes to say, grandkids. In your case, kids count too, Devon. So what else
Yeah.
are you up to, Devon? Is there anything coming up before Four Winds that you're excited about and what you'll be doing?
Well, as you know, we're playing at Stringer's Bar and Grill, Chris Graves and I, April 26th in Yankton. And then we have the Gentleman's Songwriter Round April 27th in Mitchell.
Oh, that's
Looking forward to
right.
those two things. That'll be this month. And then on May 3rd, I will be unveiling a new song. I'll have The Last Responder coming out on all platforms. I'm really excited about it. It's very laid back. It's the first single from the Bare Bones Sessions, which is an acoustic EP that'll be dropping sometime in June. I don't have an exact date for that one yet, but this will be the first track on that EP, and I think people are really going to like it.
That's great. I can't wait to get a sneak peek on May 2nd. As a follower of yours, I get it a day early. So I encourage all of you to do the same and make sure you're following Devon Sants on all of his social media and all of your streaming platforms. We're going to work together a lot this year, Devon, and April 27th is the first chance this year that we'll have, or did you come out earlier this year already? I can't remember. The days all mushed together. So
I
I'll
don't
actually.
remember when we went out there last. I think it was last year already.
It was right, yeah. So it just flies by. Well, thank you so much, Devon, for coming on and sharing a bit about you with our listeners. Thank you for being a part of the scene. You're a big part of why I felt it was needed. I'm such a big fan of yours, and I wanted to make sure that guys like you and gals out there as well had a chance to just get a little bit of exposure, and we can use our voice to amplify your sound and to all do that for each other, right? You going out and sharing this with your people now is going to help us build the podcast. And as we have more and more people on the show, that kind of just grows naturally, right? And then all of our fans become fans of everything. And it's a very organic thing that we're building. And I reckon this little Zoom recorder that I have that is completely portable with a couple of small microphones is going to be very, very busy at Four Winds Rapid City, getting a bunch of content and sitting down with a lot of musicians and a lot of friends. It's like you said earlier, we're all friends in this business and in this scene, and it's really awesome to have events like Four Winds and like the stuff that we're trying to build at Dr. Lucky's, places like the Back 40, Club David, Icon in Sioux Falls. The park in Rapid City has been putting on a lot bigger stuff. These places are the houses of which the community will be built, right? So we appreciate those partners. Devon, I appreciate your time so much. I know this was kind of spur of the moment. We were talking for completely unrelated reasons, but I was like, hey, man, do you have 15 minutes for me today?
No, man, this was fun. Thanks for having me on. I'm really looking forward to the scene taking off and expanding, and watching that grow is going to be very interesting. And if I can help out in any way, definitely would like to do so.
Well, you can help us by just continuing to make amazing music like you are. We thank you so much for being on with us today. To all of our listeners, make sure that you're getting on and you're following Devon on all of your social media channels. You're checking out his music on Spotify or wherever you're streaming music. Make sure you go and watch his music videos on YouTube. They are great. I know a few of them shot by Destin Human in Rapid City. Really great filmmaker and amazing work. So make sure you're getting on, checking out everything Devon Sants, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for listening and sharing the show. For everything The Scene, go to patreon.com/thescenesd. Follow us on all your social media channels and make sure to make yourself part of The Scene.